always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Red Media in partnership with TSN, it is season 7 of the Ray and Greg's Hockey Podcast, and it is presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. NHL hockey cards are back. 234 card collection is fresh and spectacular from Upper Deck. You can find your favorite NHL stars, specialty inserts, rare autographed cards. You could even uncover golden prize cards for a VIP trip to the 2026 Stanley Cup Final. And for the first time ever, how about a brand new car? You can win that as part of the campaign with the NHL hockey cards, which we're loving. I always hate when that campaign ends because, as we've talked about in this podcast several times, I mean, you don't have to be a deep hockey historian to appreciate the lure of collecting hockey cards. And in fact, quite the opposite now, as I'm seeing, no different than you, Ray. You told a story of how you cherished, the hockey card as a young little fella. And now I'm seeing, boys and girls 4, 5, 6 years old who are enjoying the same sort of tradition. So I love it. It's a big part of what we do here on Ray and Greg's.
Yeah, well, we're lucky to have Tim Hortons along. They're awesome for us. And the hockey card stuff it's just fun, right? Like that's what, when I look at people that collect various things, the whole point of it is something you love and something that's fun to do. And it's pretty easy. Nobody walks into Tim Hortons and says, "Gee, I'm looking for something that's not going to make me happy." You're going in for a sandwich, a donut, a coffee. I'm like, this is a happy place.
Fair point.
And now you get a set of cards with it too. So it's I love them. I love the cards. I love the pictures on them. I like the action shots. I always used to look at what stick was a guy using? Hey, who's the guy in the background? And I love all those parts of the cards.
Do you know, in studio, we still get mail, believe it or not, snail mail, as they call it, right? From card collectors. And they send it to Jeff O'Neill, or when Dave Poulin was at TSN, Pooley would get a pile, Mike Johnson gets a bunch. And you can tell just by feeling the envelope that there's hockey cards in there from their playing days. I mean, I assume that's got to be kind of cool for you every once in a while when you receive one of those old Islander cards or Hartford cards or St. Louis, go down the list, right? I mean, those are fun to sign.
The old ones are really fun because you haven't seen them in a while. And, like I've seen, I'm sure, every card that's been produced, but if you haven't seen one in 5 years, you look at it and you're like, and I can actually remember the play a lot of times in a card. Like if it's around the front of the net, I can tell you who was in goal. It's really, for me, it's really like a memory track, right?
Sure. I will get on to the Canadian Brewhouse headlines in just a moment, but I was turned, for anybody in the YouTube channel, I was looking at the backdrop in my shelving unit because I was looking for an old Dave Poulin card. But I mean, with all due respect, there's a Bucky. There's a Kelly Buchberger, captain of the Edmonton Oilers.
Man, that helmet, I look at that helmet, he pulled that thing around with him wherever it went. They spray painted it. It was just a gross old helmet that he wore. And he just, he jammed it on and it, came down nice and low. And he wore, by the way, you said about Pooley, I can guarantee you, for people that don't know Dave Poulin, his signature was impeccable. I'm guessing. I don't know that, but I'm guessing the signature was probably, he had a pen probably to coordinate with the coloring of the card. like he was meticulous. He's meticulous.
All right, we're going to scour around the National Hockey League again pretty early in the season. I always feel like we need to qualify that because there are some really good stories and there are some less good stories. So it'll all kind of balance out by the time you get closer to the 20-game mark. Headlines brought to you by the Canadian Brewhouse. Hockey lives at the Canadian Brewhouse. Catch every game with beer specials. There's game day prizes and a lot more, all at the best hockey house in town. See in-store or at thecanadianbrewhouse.com for details on what your local brew house is up to this hockey season. You're on your way to Pittsburgh, right? You've got the
Right.
Penguins and the Caps Thursday, later this week. Is that right?
Thursday. Yep. Thursday.
Yeah.
Yep. Thursday.
So, I mean, whatever. Again, game in, game out, there are going to be mistakes made. Monday night, Pittsburgh and the Toronto Maple Leafs outplayed for the first two periods anyway. That would be, you're sideways on us again here, Ray. I don't know what's gone on here, but you're
there we go.
Do it.
There it is. Can I tell you my level of I don't know what I'm going to say
angst?
About this right now. No, it's not angst. It's like, because I don't understand it, so I'm going to say disgust with the why the does this thing turn sideways? And it's only, I do other things on this setup,
and it only happens here.
Only happens here. I can only blame Zuby. I mean, who else could I blame?
Well, yes, but Ryan Rishaug,
because he didn't even fix it.
The expenses and the machinery. Zuby is just the operations guy, right? Not disrespecting Zuby. You know, he's
let's
the guy
be honest. Let's be honest. This thing doesn't get on the air without Zuby. So let's not.
That's accurate. 100% true.
Let's really acknowledge that. Move along.
Yeah. So you're in Pittsburgh for the Penguins and the Capitals on Thursday. I was going to talk, we will talk about the Monday night game between Pittsburgh and Toronto. And I feel like Pittsburgh, as we're recording here on Tuesday morning, is reeling a little bit today because they did outplay the Maple Leafs for 40 minutes solid, right? Pens then gave up 4 in the third period in a 4-3 loss to the Leafs. Pittsburgh outshot Toronto 17-3, Ray, in the second period. Toronto players admitted it may have been their worst period in a long, long time. They literally said we'd have to think about it hard to go back to the last time we felt we played more. How do you explain how you can be that bad in a period and then get dragged off the mat, perhaps by a rant by Craig Berube in the intermission, and then play the way that they did in the third period to win that hockey game?
In my opinion, unless you're not a very good team, when you could have a bad period because you're just not very good. If you're Toronto, there's only two things that make you play a period like that, and that's a lack of commitment and a lack of work. It was lazy and it was not committed, and they got run over, and they looked slow and plodding. They looked like they were never going to get to the puck again. And then in 3 minutes in the third period, it's 3-3, right? From the 3-minute mark to the 6-minute mark or thereabouts. And then it's 3-3. I would say the biggest concern to have about the Leafs is, Dregs, we've talked about this about 4 weeks in a row. And it doesn't look right. It doesn't, whether it's a win or a loss, it doesn't even matter. How many times has it looked right? Very, very few out of 14 games this year. Very, very few. And that's concerning. I mean, Stolarz doesn't look like the guy of last year. And some of that could be that he's playing so much. Some of it could be that there was no way he's going to stop the puck at 925 again. Right. Because if you look across the league, save percentages are going down closer to the 900 mark for for the top guys. 925 is going to be unattainable. So if your goaltending's not as good, their lineup's not as good. I mean, we'd talk about Marner again. He's not there, but they're not as good. They've gotten, in my opinion, in the chase to be bigger and more Florida ready, they become slow. And I think they're kind of in between the skilled team and the big team, and now they're just bigger and less skilled. And so that leads to some uneven stuff for them. But I will say, because we're at Pittsburgh here, So they're out of the gate at 8-2-2. I think they're now 8-4-2 or something like that. So Justin Brazeau got hurt. He didn't play. And Achari left the game last night. So 2 of their 12 forwards are gone. Now, teams deal with injuries all the time. But if you don't, this is why the season will square itself up over time. Pittsburgh can't play at that level all the time, and they're certainly not going to be healthy the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to come back to the pack. So if your team's scuffled along early and they've got a bunch of injuries, you just have to hope they hold their head right now until 20 games, until they get guys back. And if they do, then they'll probably take a step forward. Mm-hmm. If you've got your full team and you're stumbling around right now, well, then I think you got problems.
Yeah. Well,
by the way, let me jump in real quick. You don't have the do not disturb on your phone.
No, I know. I just heard it ding.
You just did. Right, that's about 6 of them already.
You think?
Oh yeah.
I counted 4. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Zuby.
Leave them in though, Zuby, because it gives it. It's got that live feel. It's like when we record a panel hit and you kind of stumble and fumble a little bit. Somebody makes, as long as it isn't factually incorrect, it's got that live feel. So that's the way we do the Ray and Riggs podcast.
There's another one.
Yeah, that's not me. That's Zuby being, he's being smart here.
No, not even me. That's Shogger being smart.
Yeah,
that was me
first.
That's impossible. Moving
along. Back to the Leafs for a moment. Speaking of getting healthier, not faster though, right? They've got Scott Laughton who's ready to go. Steven Lorenz right there. Those are 2 dogs that'll help drag you into the fight. But you don't get quicker by bringing those guys in the mix. No. Does that even matter? You just a little bit more snot or whatever it is that they're going to bring into the mix is going to help.
I mean, I guess they're part of 2 of their 12 forwards, right? They would be an upgrade on the people you have in the lineup because that's the way they're slotted in. The identity thing is really interesting because you can't take a team. Or you can't take a player and say, okay, now you're going to play like this. That doesn't happen. You can't take a slow guy and say, play faster, because they can't get faster. This is what they are. You can't take a guy that doesn't grind it out and tell him you're now going to grind it out. So in my mind, they're a little bit between what they're trying to achieve. I know they want to be tougher. They want to be more aggressive. But they don't look like they move the puck anywhere near as quickly as they used to move it.
Agreed.
And so, and to me, that you've taken away one of your superpowers and dumbed down the game a little bit towards the median while you try to get stronger. And I don't buy this. It's a copycat league. I really don't, because I think if you do, you're always chasing what somebody else is. And you don't have the same people. I think you look at your team and you build the best team that you can have with the people and the personnel that you have. If you're always trying to acquire Matthew Tkachuk, you don't have Matthew Tkachuk around, right?
Right.
Like it's not him. It might be a guy that is the same size and has some of the same skill set, but I find that chase to be something else, kind of spinning your tires.
Yeah, well, let's just wrap a bow on this thing, because Berube was asked post-game why his team is seemingly incapable of playing a 60-minute game. And for me anyway, the meat of the quote was, quote, "I have no clue. I have no answer for that right now." And he went on a little bit, but we're not 3 games into the regular season here, right? He's been around this group and with this group for, a considerable amount of time. So, now.
Okay. Here's another thing. The 60-minute game, I know people ask that question all the time. It's a fallacy.
It's cliche, yeah.
And it means nothing, because the other team gets to try hard too. And there's going to be a portion of the game. First of all, look at the standings.
I know.
And
just jammed.
They're jammed. So who is going to dominate another team for 60 minutes? Like, it's not going to happen. It just.
All right, Ray, the Edmonton Oilers lose to the St. Louis Blues 3-2 on Monday night. The Blues are a team that's, searching for something good. Jim Montgomery acknowledging that he felt like their last 3 games they played pretty well, and they get rewarded with the win. Much needed win for St. Louis. Connor McDavid, by the way, 4th fastest player in NHL history to 1,100 points. He had 2 assists in that loss. McDavid without a shot on net against St. Louis. Just the 28th time in his
I don't
career.
get it.
It doesn't make, well, that's why I bring it up. I mean, explain to me how we make sense of this. What isn't he doing, obviously, aside from shooting the puck at the net?
Well, I guess what I find hard to understand with the shots part in McDavid's game is I think he's capable of doing anything he wants to do. I don't mean that he can score 3 goals a game if he wants, but I mean, we've seen him take the puck and he just kind of goes wherever he wants to go. And he goes so quickly that it's impossible for teams to block segments of the ice that he can't get to. It seems like he gets to go, or he gets himself into position where he wants to go. But when he gets over the blue line, he's clearly reading something that's not there, that he doesn't see. Like, he doesn't see a lane to the net. He doesn't see a shot. He sees at the speed he's carrying the puck in that he can hold and create something else, a better shot. Too often he ends up behind the net, as he takes, like, he's a one-man change of direction. So if he takes the puck down the left wing and he goes behind the net, like, nobody else can do that, except he goes so fast. Now the play's on the other side of the ice. So there's a little bit of that. He's at like 3 shots a game. And when he's, I think his best was closer to 4.5. And I don't, what should he have? Like, what's enough shots? Is it north of 250 for the season? That's over 3 shots a game. Is it 4 shots a game? It's 320. Like, it's, thereabouts. It's like, that's a lot. But 0 shots is just, when you see it on his stat line, it just does not look right. I look at the way the Oilers are constructed, and I know they're waiting on Hyman, and that will change a little bit of the makeup of their top 6, but it feels like they're a little light. For a team that envisions themselves as a cup contender. They feel like they're to me like they're a forward short, and like, I think Podkolzin works his ass off, but he can't be in your top 6. And maybe Hyman changes that. That means Mangiapane, who was a 4th liner in Washington, who's playing in your top 6 now, like that, he has to play at that level. Can he do that? Can Jack Roslovic's had a good 10 days, and I like Jack. I think Jack's a good player, but his track record is October, November, December looks a lot different than January, February, March. And, so they just feel a little bit light. And I think that plays a little bit into, what McDavid can and cannot do.
Yeah, I'll just interject here quick. I'll give you guys McDavid's shot totals. The year he had 64 goals, 352. 32 goals the following year, 263 shots. 26 goals the following year, 196 shots.
So there you go.
Pattern there.
Yeah. So what? But what do we like? What do you think? It's somewhere north of 3 shots, I think, by average. And so if he's at 3 a game now, as Ryan's mentioned, then you're probably in the, you're in the ballpark. It just doesn't feel the same.
But if he has 5 or 6 goals too, we're probably not even having this conversation, aside from the blip against St. Louis where he didn't record a shot on net, right? So they go hand in hand.
I would say, of the worries of the Oilers, this one I would have pretty low down the chart. I'm pretty sure that he's going to end up where he's supposed to be. I think there's other things to be concerned about there.
Yeah, and one of them isn't the power play, right? I mean, again, if we're picking at the carcass of the Edmonton Oilers here, their power play is clipping along. And, Roslovic's a part of that, elevated to the first
He's
unit.
got good skill, man. He's got good hands. He's smart with the puck. He can help. Not that they need any help with their entries, but he could help with an entry. I mean, when you watch the Oilers power play live and they're entering the zone, and the penalty killers are told, to hold the line as best they can.
Good luck.
And this rocket is coming up the ice, and you're like, good luck. The only way they don't get in the zone is if they screw it up. Like if they miss a pass somewhere. And their power play, I don't know how many times, by the end of the year, somebody will be able to tell us how many times they score a power play goal within 15 seconds of getting the power play. Face off went zip, 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 zip. It's in the net. And you're like, oh my God, guy didn't even get a drink of water in the penalty box.
Adam Lowry expected to return to the Winnipeg Jets lineup Tuesday in Los Angeles. Just a reminder for fringe Jets fans, he had hip surgery in May. So this is right on schedule. Early November is when they expected the Jets captain would return. The expectation is that he would play again with Niederreiter and probably Tanner Pearson on that third line. So aside from the heart and soul, which is a big part of the game and the leadership of Adam Lowry, how huge of a boost is this for that Winnipeg team?
Well, I'm so impressed with them. They lose Ehlers to free agency. They don't have Lowry. Sandberg's hurt. He's not back yet. Did it not feel like I could see the Jets kind of crawling along out of the gate?
Felt like that.
And it just they've built something there. Marty St. Louis says you can't just make culture. You've got you've got to build it. You can't just create it and say, oh, this is our culture. You've got to build it. And the one thing I do believe is a strength in Winnipeg, they have to be a draft and develop team because they're not going to get a bunch of free agents to come there. That's just the way it is. So their year over year sameness, because they have the right guys in the core of their team, I think is really a strength. I think they have a culture and an understanding of how they want to play. From Paul Maurice to Scott Arniel, they've made a few tweaks and changes, of course, but it's the same group most of the time in the middle of the lineup. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought because this thing continues to happen. I'm just, but it's the same thing over and over for them. And getting Lowry back, I mean, what a matchup nightmare he is to play against. I'm assuming he'll probably play pretty well the first couple of games and then settle back for a bit. He's going to be sore, and he's going to be a little bit out of shape, like game shape, even though he's, that's never a concern or a consideration with him. But man, they're just a hard team to play. They kind of just they've got the mix of some of the size and the pace of their game. Like they play pretty quickly without saying, if you look at their lineup, you don't go, oh my God, that's such a high skilled lineup. Yeah. But they play in one direction a lot, and they put a lot of pressure on the teams they play against a lot because they check, they hit, they lean on you, they're heavy, they got a great goalie, and they don't give up much anymore, or not anymore, ever. No. They never really give up anything. So they're a good team. He's what a nice little piece to add back to your lineup. You're 6'3" captain, right?
A bit of news for sure, and also ongoing contract discussions with Adam Lowry and Craig Oster, who's the agent for Lowry. I mean, just given recent events, the extension of Kyle Connor, the work that Cheveldayoff and company have done, they will get Adam Lowry locked down. This is one of those things that All right. Well, it'll be the least surprising bit of information that comes out in
Right.
the next several days, weeks, however long it takes. Just kind of pouring over the stats pack this morning. You at all surprised that Jonathan Toews leads the National Hockey League in face-off wins at, just under 64%, 63.6%?
I'm going to say not really. I'm more surprised he's got 7 points.
Yeah, fair.
I thought he was going to kind of, look really blocky and, like, I don't know, unathletic is what I thought he was going to look like coming back after being away for a couple years. And I thought, man, it's going to take him a while to, to just look in whatever semblance of himself he's going to look like. But he's done a really good job. I'm really good. Like, just think of taking 2 years off, and then you're, there must be days he doesn't feel great. Although those days are probably getting fewer and fewer and fewer for him, because now you're into the swing of the season, right? The rhythm of the season. The one thing that I think might be helpful for him is they play so many games. You don't have time to to get out of rhythm. You're just like play day off, day off, and maybe that's helpful for him. But he's done a really good job. The face-offs, he was always so strong at that. He had such great technique, and I look at it as a centerman, the way he uses his hands to leverage position to get himself into the spot where if it's a tie draw, he's got a little more strength than the guy he's against. Even if he's not the stronger guy, he's always been really good at that. But it's a nice little perk for them.
Sure. You mentioned how jammed up it is in all divisions earlier in the podcast and the Canadian Brewhouse headlines here. 11 to 14 games played, depending on which team you're zeroing in off. At any point, Ray, did you have either Seattle or the Anaheim Ducks in the lead or vying for top spot in the Pacific?
No chance.
No.
I just didn't. If you look there, Seattle hasn't lost at home yet, which is kind of a nice thing. They've not really had great home records for whatever reason, but they haven't lost at home. They're 4-0-2. They're the one thing they had to do because it was a part of their model was that they were going to build their system, right? So where Vegas went out and traded first-round picks for, including Nick Suzuki, for immediate help that won them a Stanley Cup. Seattle was going about it kind of, I'd call it a more traditional, old-fashioned way. Yeah. And now we're starting to see some of these young guys develop into what they're probably going to be, and they're very fast. Joey Decord has given them top end goaltending. Dregs, I don't know, I'm sure you remember this, but way back we had Decord on our show when he broke in with Ottawa, and he got a shutout, and we had him on the show, and then like 2 weeks later he tore his ACL, and it was just because he came from Arizona State hockey program. His dad's a goalie coach, and there was a lot to the story of an unexpected guy, and he ended up kind of getting lost in the injury thing, and here he is back. He's one of the better goalies. He literally is one of the better goalies statistically in the league right now. So that's Seattle. Anaheim's they've got zero scar tissue, these kids that are playing, right? They just play fast. They're talented. The Gauthier and McTavish and Seneke, the 19-year-old, they're like, man, they just score like crazy, these guys. They got over 40 goals this year. It's like they're fun to watch. And, and Joel, my buddy Joel's back, and he looks like he's enjoying himself. And if you remember when he left in Florida, they were just starting to become this high-powered, fast, aggressive team. And that's kind of what Anaheim's looking like right now. They're fast and skilled, and they've got a lot of their young guys signed already. So they've made the bet that these guys are going to be really developing players. I'm looking forward. I've got them at the end of the month. I'm looking forward to watching them live because, man, they look fun on TV.
Let's wrap up the headlines with a thought on the direction of the Washington Capitals. So they lose Pierre-Luc Dubois to a serious injury. Now, they're still evaluating whether or not surgery is required or not, but whatever the situation, he is going to miss a significant amount of time. I don't believe it's season ending. And I say it that way because it matters now with the new CBA as to whether or not it's season ending with cap implications and all of that. So first of all, talk with the loss of PLD to the Caps, because as I've said, it's not like you can just go out and grab another player that's like him or is going to fill the role like he has filled for the last couple of years since arriving in Washington.
Well, since July, we've been talking about teams trying to acquire centermen. And so I don't know why this would become any easier for Washington.
No.
Right now, there's another team into the mix trying to add a centerman. So if you're a team that's thinking about, maybe in the next 3 weeks or so, the end of the month, I might start, I might pivot into a transitional time, and you have a center you would move, you're going to get a lot of calls. You're going to do pretty well in that trade. Washington's interesting to me. Like, everything went their way last year. If you go across their lineup, they had a number of guys that had career years. Protas, went to 30 goals last year and, looked like a star in the making. McMichael had a career year. Dylan Strome led the team in scoring again. Ovi had 40 goals. Are all those things, for example, Jacob Chikrin had 20 goals. Are all those things going to happen again? Probably not. And now you take Dubois out of the mix, and they might have to take a little bit of a restock of where they're at if he's out long term, because it changes their. McMichael had his big year on the wing. They might have to put him in the middle, his natural position, and leave him there. And now he's got to kind of figure out playing at center,
right?
Not as a luxury, but as a necessity. And those are two very, very different things.
And I think you have to be sensitive, do you not, to the post Ovechkin era, right? So it's, if there's a centerman that pops available at any point between now and the trade deadline, and you feel, all right, well, this guy's going to help us, that's fine. But you also have to be mindful of what the cost is to acquire that piece, because Ovi isn't playing forever. So the cupboard has to be somewhat stocked with the eventuality that he's done.
I believe Washington has done a remarkable job of straddling the fence here. I really do. They certainly didn't want Ovi's chase to be in the midst of a season stuck in the mud. And so, they ended up winning the conference. They were the number 1 seed. But the year before, they actually sold off a little bit and acquired some picks. And they have 4, at least 3 forwards, but 4 players, I was told, that are 6'4" and above, that are real legit prospects there. They have Andrew Cristal, who was their first round pick a couple years ago, and they're in pretty good shape. I think they could move a younger guy if there was a centerman available. But who's the centerman? Pretty soon, Don Sweeney's going to get 62 teams out of 30 calling him about Pavel Zacha. Right? There's how many are available? How many teams are looking at their season and saying, you know what, we can move some pieces out, because everybody's kind of jammed in, whether they're in the race or not. They feel like they are.
Those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse. We've got Ask Ray and Dregs anything on Thursday, and you can send us your questions on X or Instagram at Ray and Dregs, or visit our website, rayandregs.com. So this is our first pod post-Halloween, right? And we wondered, or at least I did, about how much influence Game 6 of the World Series would have on
Game 7, right?
On Friday? No, it was Game 6. Saturday
was Halloween Friday? Was it Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Friday.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
31st of anyway, we had 75 trick-or-treaters. And
did you?
Yeah, it was excellent turnout. Yeah, very happy.
Good
very
for
happy.
them.
So at 8 p.m. Eastern, I just put a sign on the door that said Happy Halloween. Game 6 is about to start. It's 8 p.m. I left 2 bowls of candy out there. I said, please help yourself, but, leave something for the next trick-or-treater, right? About 5 minutes later, I can hear some rustling outside. So I look through the blinds, and so the kids buzz off. I don't know. There's like 2 or 3 of them. I can't recall. Anyway, open the door, 2 big bowls clean right out. And okay, all right. I mean, I'm not saying at 10, 11, 12 that I would have been above this. I probably would have been into the same level of shenanigans. But the funny and / angering part of it, they left 2 little mini bags of plain chips in an empty bowl, and we weren't even giving chips. So they swapped 2 bags that they got from somebody else and put them in an empty bowl and took all of our chocolate bars. I mean, I'll give them credit. That was some slick work in a short matter of time.
Yeah, the leaving of the plain chips is really something. Like, who wants a bag of plain chips, right? No way.
Nobody. No,
that's really good.
I was actually quite amused. So did you have a good turnout, or was it pretty quiet, or did you shut the lights off? What did you do?
No. We honestly, we like when the kids come to the door. I think they're to them like hand in hand with Christmas. Is there a holiday better for them?
Yeah,
for a kid, right? And so we actually, though, were limited not by the baseball game or anything, but it was miserable weather.
Oh, yeah.
Like just pouring. So we're like, anybody that comes to the door in this, they get rewarded. They are gamers out there. We're sitting there just settling in, and there's a knock at the door, and we're like, we look out and we're like, oh, we know this, and it was Landon had brought Luca, and so Luca's first Halloween, he's not quite 2. And so he's got his little bag over his arm. He's a pumpkin like every other little kid. And I looked, he doesn't even know what's going on, but he was like, hi. And we're like, hey, Luca. We put like the 2 candy bars that Landon was going to eat anyway. We put them in his little thing. And I don't know if they took him to 5 houses or whatever, but I don't know. I love when the kids are out. I think it's, it seemed to be more of an intensive holiday when we were kids. Like there were more shenanigans going on. Of course, there was firecrackers and all kinds of stuff going on, but that doesn't happen anymore.
It doesn't seem to happen anymore, at least not in the city. Maybe it happens in the smaller towns because you know everybody. So, but I tend to agree. When I was a little guy, you're never malicious. You're not doing property damage or any of that. No. But you'd have some fun on the trick side of things every once in a while, especially if you knew the family that you were.
Well, I will say, I'm going to say this: our neighbor was not high on the favorites list. We used to, so like we had 4 boys, and so there was all kinds of games going on, and balls would fly into his yard. He would just keep them.
Yeah.
Like what a jackass. So eventually Dad went over there and knocked on the door. He said, hey, Jim, you get that bucket of balls there. You have no kids. What are you doing with them? Give them the kids the balls back. So Halloween, he might have had a few doorbell rings and knocks at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Like no chance we were stopping then. We're like, you're not giving me my ball back? Well, ding dong. And then he'd come out and he'd look around, he'd go back in, and then we'd run up to the door and ring the doorbell again.
You remember those
Yes.
mini soaps that you get in hotel rooms, like the little
Sure,
square
yeah.
soaps? Oh, they were perfect pocket size. Hey, hide them in your pocket, and then
I
you
didn't
get
know
to,
that.
oh
I
yeah,
didn't know that. No.
vehicles. You could draw whatever picture you wanted, but you weren't really doing damage, right?
No.
It's soap; it washes off. It's not that big of a deal. But all right, let's bring in Zuby, right?
Yeah.
Zuby's a big Halloween guy, as we learned last week with all the blow ups and all of the
Oh,
decorating and
yeah.
everything that went on. Zub, as we get into Tim's hockey challenge, and I'm pretty sure I had a pretty good end to the week last week. Anyway, why don't you just give us the update on how things went at your house last Friday?
Well, on top of the display, which we showed last week, it's also worth noting that we are right across the street from an elementary school, my kids' the school my kids go to. So there's a fair bit of gathering, even from folks not in my neighborhood on Halloween night. It's kind of a known area. So I had 1,000 pieces of candy that I had purchased, and I planned to give out 1,000, and I planned to give out 2 per kid. And before it was about 6:30 p.m. and I was already down to 100. I knew I wasn't even going to make it to 7 o'clock. So then I had to get real chintzy and start giving out 1 per kid. And so my guess is we had between 500 and 600 kids, and I was out of candy by 7:30. So it's just you know what? I took a GoPro video of it. I haven't edited it together, but if we ever want to revisit, it'll be a little late on Halloween, but I'll give you guys an idea.
That's awesome.
Speed it up. It's lots of fun, and but I wish we had the TV right out on the deck for the Blue Jays game, because of course it started at 5 here, so it was fun. But honestly, I guess next year I'm gonna have to go get even more candy than that. So,
But you know what's going to happen, Zuby, is those, when you got down to the last 100 pieces and you were, handing them out one at a time, those kids are going to say, yeah, how about those cheap buggers, the Zabunyas? They only give out 1 piece of candy. They don't know that the 200 in front of you had doubles, right? Or 500 in front of you. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't like that, because it's also like the house is all done up. It's like, oh, these guys do their house up like this, and then they hand me this little shrinkflation chocolate bar, like
dried out Tootsie Roll.
All right, let's get
those things. By the way, those things, they were weapons. The dried out Tootsie Roll. If you fired, they would sting. Somebody gets one of those things would hurt.
That's outstanding.
All right, let's get to the Tim's Hockey Challenge. Hey, do you guys know what they give out for a 7-day streak?
No,
you've got to get to 7.
Do you know what? I do. I know what you get for a 7-day streak, and that's a free coffee. So
nice.
So I did. Now that streak has since ended, but I had a real heater going there. I did make it to the 7 days. Dregs is coming over the top here. Holy cow. And on a day that Ray, last show day, October 30th, on a day that Ray and Shagar both struck out, Dregs comes over the top with 2 of 3, Nazem Kadri and Josh Morrissey. And on that day in that middle section, I had Puce Suter, who managed to come through for me in that. So there was an opportunity for a 3 for 3 there. Anyway, Dregs has really jumped out to the lead here. He's 8 for 21, 200 points. Ray, 7 for 21, 175 points, and Shagar just off a cliff here. Oh my goodness. He was the early leader, and he's at 5 for 21 now, only 125 points. The Ray and Dregs account, I have now 19 correct total, 23% on average, but that 7-day streak, that'll be my crowning achievement, I think, for the year.
That's a good one.
Is Rashog having his dog select them, or what is he doing?
It's gone way. I was reviewing the standings on the first show we did it. I think he was in first place, 3 for 9, and now he's 5 for 21. That's bad.
We should actually analyze his picks beyond the Lowry one, which we berated him endlessly over. I feel like there's a lot of Oilers selections. There could be some local bias, and I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know what his.
You know what he should do right now? He should pick Adam Lowry 14 weeks in a row.
We should force him. All right, Zuby. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, fellas.
All right, we know you're on your way to Pittsburgh for the Caps and the Pens, so travel safe this week, Ray.
Thank you. The only game the only game this week. I come back Friday. I got the Canucks in Columbus on Saturday, and Colorado, Vancouver on Sunday. I gotta say, this schedule for every team is bananas. So
can't practice, forget it. That's out the window.
Well, you can't rest. I mean, Vancouver's playing every second day, and they were in, where the hell were they last night? They won 5-4 in overtime. They were in Nashville yesterday, and they fly back today and play 2 games in 2 days.
It's wild.
And then play Tuesday again. It's like, I get it with the Olympics, but you can see why the owners don't generally say, hey, the Olympics are a great thing, because it jams them up big time.
It certainly does. All right. Again, safe travels. And,
thanks. Have a good end of the week.
Later this week.
Yeah, we'll talk to you Thursday from Pittsburgh. Thanks for listening, everybody.
All right. And thank you to our sponsors who support Ray and Dregs and make the pod possible. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, thank you. And thank you to the Canadian Brew House. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.